What's up, dreamers? This is your host, Santi Trix, and you're listening to episode 9 of the Hollywood Dreams podcast. On today's episode, I talk with my friends Eric Ganz and Thiessen from the amazing Hollywood band Charlotte. Their second album is coming out on Eonian Records, and let me tell you, it's gonna rock your ass off, so don't miss out on that. For now, grab a beer, relax, and tune in to hear all about the new album and laugh along with us to some great stories from the Hollywood days. Rock on! Hey Eric, how are you?
Hey Santi, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and I guess Rob will be joining us soon. We're all grateful that you asked us to do this. I appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure having you here, man. So this is the Hollywood Dreams podcast, right? And I always like to kick off things with the very same question. Would you consider yourself a dreamer?
Would I consider myself a dreamer?
Yeah.
Now, is that related strictly to Hollywood, I guess is the question. Yeah, I mean, I guess if things start with a vision and the whole intent with that vision is to bring things to fruition, then yeah, sure. I'm in that sense, I'm a dreamer. But yeah,
Yeah.
I also like to bet on a real horse, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. So man, you got a new album about to come out.
Yeah, we're psyched. We're really, really happy about this. Mostly because, well, two reasons. We have a previous release with the same company, Eonian Records, and shout out to them. They've been wonderful. And the title of that release is Medusa Groove. And there's a lot of great material on that album that has been remastered, and we get to present that to a whole new audience and a familiar audience as well at the same time.
Yeah.
But also we found some stuff in the basement, basically, and we have new songs coming out on here that have never been released. They're not new as far as creation and performance, but they're new as far as they have not been released until now. So we're excited about that. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Awesome. So they're remastered but not re-recorded.
Correct. We do have. There are some re-recordings on this release. There have been. We've worked with producers that have been with us for decades now, and there have been some changes made, some remixes, some additions, little parts here and there. So yeah, there have been some recordings added to it, but for the most part, these are sessions from the 80s and 90s. Yes.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to hear them. So I did hear the single of the album, Little Devils, right? That's the single you're going with.
Yeah, well, that's been a favorite, I think, of the bands, and I know the guys at Eonian love that song, and yeah, we figure, if you're going to come out, give them one of your best right away. So yeah, that song. Great story behind that song. I mean, we had the main riff for the longest time, and Charlotte is very much a band that created together simultaneously while rehearsing, and a lot of great stuff came out of our sessions together like that. And that is a prime example, Little Devils, where we're sitting on the main riff for a while, and we shelved it, and I think we were getting ready for some shows, and then one of the ensuing rehearsals kind of went back to that song, and I believe it was Nick, one of our guitar players, that came up with the middle section, just started playing this riff. You'll hear there's a key change in there that's very distinct, and I remember thinking, man, it kind of sounds like Rush, the great Canadian band Rush, and or Tool or something when you listen to Tool. But it just clicked, and that song was born, on the spot at rehearsal for sure. The lyrics, everything, it all just kind of came out, and I remember fine-tuning the lyrics the next day and being very excited to play that song live, and we often saved it as the closing song.
I mean, it's a great song. It's really catchy as well. I really like it. And it is also very powerful sounding, right? It's not like your typical like these rock music, but rather more in the style of bands. I would say like, I don't know, Skid Row, this heavier stuff, right?
Thank you. Yeah, perceptive. Good observation. I mean, we definitely like the power in our music. We love melody. I know that sounds like an obvious thing to say. I guess most songwriters and bands would want melody, but meaning, we would focus on melody being at the core of the choruses, at least of the songs, but definitely wanted to retain power and not be afraid to write out one really strong riff for an extended amount of time, not have a time constraint on any of our songs. We really like to, have creative freedom and kind of let the song go, no matter what the conventions might, ask you to do. Meaning, oh no, you got to have a 3 or 4 minute song. No, well, ours is longer. So
I'm more of a melodic rock guy, so I love the combination of that powerful riff sound and the catchy melodic poppy lyrics and chorus. I think that hits the spot, at least for me.
Hey, that's a great way to put it. Exactly. You got to make a nice stew out of it. You can have both.
Yeah.
You really can.
Absolutely. So are you guys planning on doing any shows to promote the album?
Well, let's get Rob on here and talk to him about that too. I mean, I would love to.
Okay.
We did for the last one, so we'll try and round up the guys. We know who to talk to in LA. If and when that does happen, I would be going out to LA, and the guys are out there, and we'd meet up. But there's certainly plenty of places back east we could play. But yeah, right now nothing booked, and we'll see what we can get going.
All right, awesome. Yeah, we'll talk with Rob once he joins and try to convince him to get the band on the road.
I think he's one of the ones that needs convincing. Neither he nor I. I mean, listen, there's so many ways to keep music going. I think the important part is to keep the music alive, and I think more than half this band is willing to perform and everything, but then again, you can always have other musicians and people join in as well to make it happen. Sure. So there are many options. I look at what Ricky Medlock did with what do you call it, Blackfoot. I mean, he's got a whole band playing his songs for him. So, if we have to pass the torch, we would even be willing to do that just to keep the music going. But no, let's try and get these guys to do a couple more shows at least, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Whiskey would be a good place to start.
Well, for sure. Yeah, of course. So before we dive into the whole 80s stuff, I want to ask you, I want to go way back and ask you about your what made you want to be a musician?
What made me want to be a musician? Well, let's see. I mean, I think at a young age, music was naturally appealing to me. I just kind of would attract to the radio, be it, in someone's car or hearing it, while out in public. And songs just always grabbed my attention. And I think it was, really once I started getting into playing music, I think the just wanting to share the, the feeling of having music out there, get everyone having a good time, just to,
Yeah.
Give back what I was feeling when I heard the music. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, and of course, when you start out, it's like it's all about the party. So I'm not gonna lie. uh, yeah, but I think on a creative level, you basically get to be your own director. And what you do, what you record is there for posterity, and you're giving people something that they can hear for a long time, and it's never going to change. It's always going to be there. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think just the fun and the sound, the loudness of it all, and like I said, when you're young, the wine, women, and song. That's that's
Yeah.
what that's how they get you in the door. And then but no, then you realize what you're giving, the power of entertainment, and getting people to another place, especially this day and age. We're living in a crazy world, and music is always a great escape. So you're giving people a chance to feel good about life.
Yeah. Right. So was there like an album or a band that made you go, hey, I want to be that guy?
For sure. I mean, I think it started with Aerosmith and Kiss, and then moved on to Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple. But then I just started listening to all kinds of music. I listened to a lot of blues, even jazz, like Miles Davis at a young age. I always listened to classical music,
Yeah.
pretty much anything, and if I liked it, I would just listen to it. I would keep listening to it and learning it. I'd play things on the piano that I would listen to, and kind of figure things out like that too.
Yeah. So where are you? So you're not from LA, right? Originally?
I'm not. No, actually, most of the band is from the East Coast. Oh no, we grew up. We had lots of woods around us where we grew up. No, so
Mm.
L.A. was our first. I think pretty much all of our first go at living in a city, as it were. Yeah.
All right. So how did the band came to? Were you guys like childhood friends?
Good question. So the original bass player, Sean Furjanic, and myself, we met in high school, and we started the high school band. We were playing parties, and that's about as
Mhm.
far back as it goes. And then from there, once we got out of high school, we met up with, just from playing out different, parties and meeting people. We met up with our original drummer and Vinny Cacciati, who obviously became one of the core members of the band. And that's really where it all started kicking in. I'd say,
Yeah.
late 80s. And then within a couple years after that, we were on our way to Los Angeles.
So do you think so? What was it like in New York? For those of us that maybe were too young or too far away to experience it, what was the rock scene in New York City back in the day?
In New York City,
Yeah.
as opposed to where we were, because we were doing the upstate scene, which is also a very strong scene. I mean, the entire
Hmm.
state of New York had a great rock scene. I mean, so basically we were in the Albany area, and from there we and all the other local bands, I should say, you'd come down in New York City and play L'Amour's East and West, and then you'd be out in Rochester, out in Syracuse, then you'd go to Vermont. The whole tri-state area was very strong. So when you say the scene in New York City, it really involves a lot of
Yeah.
venues within an area that it's very compact, and you can get on a bus and do 50 shows in a month.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But New York City was, New York City, we always looked at, like, so in other words, when because we're from New York and we could have just come down, to the city, but we decided on LA because I think at the time in the mid to late 80s, New York City was definitely more focused on a heavier brand of rock than what we were doing. They were definitely more into a darker metal. We had friends up in Albany area that would come down here a lot, and we'd all talk about different styles that would be presented in certain cities, areas, and whatnot, and what the best place to be is. And we just felt LA was our place because of that. So it's a good question because I think LA was definitely more open to the I don't know how to put it. It was, New York was like the dark metal and LA was the flashy rock. That was in a nutshell. That's the way we viewed it. So yeah, we went for LA.
Yeah, so for the style that you guys were shooting for, LA was the place to be, right?
Correct. And ironically enough, it didn't mean we didn't like that real heavy stuff. Cause like you just said, Little Devils with the powerful sound, we still wanted that, but again, we wanted the melody, and there was that balance of the two that we felt was better represented in LA. So yeah, that's why we shoot it for out there.
So when did you guys make the trip? Was that like mid 80s, late 80s?
That was going towards the late 80s. I think it was beginning of 1987, end of 86, beginning of 87. We all ended.
And what? All right. And was it hard for a band coming out of the city to get started in LA?
Was not hard for us to get started. It was hard for us to stay in the bars because we were carrying on like we were from upstate New York, and they really weren't having it. We got kicked out of a lot of bars at first. And I don't know. And not necessarily because we wanted to start any trouble. It was just like, wait a minute, what happened here? What did we do? That kind of thing. Yeah, just getting used to I don't know. It was different because we were definitely used to very rowdy upstate New York bars. And I think we kind of took that attitude out there with us, and it was pretty funny just making the adjustment. But the scene out there was professional. We knew it was right away. As fun and crazy and wild as it was, we definitely knew we were where we wanted to be. It felt like the major leagues of music, and we welcomed it right away. And it was definitely not difficult for us to adjust. I think we welcomed it with open arms.
Awesome. So and was there like a club that you guys like to play the most, or?
The Whiskey.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. Yeah, that was our place. We when you look at the history of the place, that's one thing, but also just the atmosphere. I think the friends we made there. I kind of always liked the way it sounded there. I remember a lot of people complaining about it, but I always thought it sounded good. Whenever I was playing there, I feel like I could hear myself, and it sounded like it. You judge by the audience reaction. You can always tell when it sounds really good, and I think I usually had that feeling at the Whiskey. That's a shout out to Louis the Sound Man, who has passed on, but he was great. I always used to talk to him before and after the shows. I think he did a good job at the soundboard.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the history. I mean, I like to think that a place with such a rock and roll history has to playing there has to carry a weight that playing in other places don't, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I believe, there's definitely, we all know there's other places in Hollywood that do have a similar, star-studded history or whatever. But I don't know, the Whiskey just has an atmosphere that it just, it's rock and roll from start to finish. But yeah, it is. It's an honor, when you first start playing there, you're fresh from your hometown. You're thinking, oh man, this is great. Here I am at the Whiskey a Go-Go. You're thinking of Hendrix, and the Doors, and Zeppelin, and then Sex Pistols, and Motley Crue, Van Halen. Everyone played there.
Did you guys do the whole famous handling flyers thing?
We sort of did the flyer thing, yeah. We tried. No, we would make a lot of flyers. A lot of them would get left behind, though. We'd kind of forget about it. No, we did. The flyer wars are funny. I've been reading about the flyer wars lately. People have been talking about that. I can't say we got fully into the flyer wars, like where bands were going around and tearing other bands' flyers down and all that. I mean, I know
Yeah,
a lot of that is rumor, but I'm sure some of it's real. We never really got into all that. We kind of just focused on the playing and
yeah,
would just try to promote ourselves as much as possible, whatever way we saw fit. But, a lot of times it wasn't about flyering. It was about meeting people and, um,
yeah.
socializing,
Right.
waking up in
Yeah,
strange places,
yeah. Just living the rock and roll life, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Just playing, having fun, and making sure the music is good. But the flyering helps. It sure does. There's no harm in flyering. Maybe I don't know. Maybe because it creates litter, that might be the only harm.
So was there any major label interest back in the day?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. I think Arista comes to mind first. Um,
Okay.
they spent time with us. It's interesting to see it from the inside out because when a label is interested in you, they all of a sudden now it's work, and they want to make suggestions. They want to work with you. They ask you questions. They want to see where you are. As far as 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. It's interesting, and they just try to. I don't want to say they don't want to. Well, I would hope not turn you into something else, but they want to bring out all your potential. And a lot of these guys were musicians too, and they all have ideas. So it's an interesting creative process. And not everyone always agrees, of course, and that's why deals are made or broken.
Right. Yeah. So what kind of happened there? Would things eventually kind of fizzled out, or what was the reason behind you guys?
Arista, well, as far as Arista, everything was copacetic as far as relationship, and I think with that one there were creative differences as far as
Yeah.
writing. Again, people don't always agree, and they see your potential, but they might have a different idea of how the band should progress. And I think with Arista that was the case. I remember having we'd have great meetings with those guys. I'd walk down there in my sweatpants unannounced, and I could just walk in and talk with the A&R guy we were with at the time. And I felt
Mhm.
very comfortable there. But I think in the end, the suggestions that were made and what we wanted and we saw for ourselves just didn't agree. So, that was one example. Um, it's hindsight is 2020. You kind of have some regrets, but then again, you want to stay true. And there were a lot of things going on at the time. We were getting offers from other people too, so other labels. So I think Atco was another interest, and yeah, it's just you do business as best you can and see where it goes. But it doesn't always work out. It's okay.
Well, it did end working out in the end, right? It did work out in the end. You guys now had two albums out. I
Right,
guess
right.
things have a way of getting together in the end.
No, and that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, because really what you're looking for, if you think about it, is distribution. You have music, and
Yeah.
as an artist, well, of course, you want to make a career out of it, but to do that, you have to do the thing that you like doing the most to begin with, and that is to have people hear your music. You want everybody to hear your music. You want it out there. You want to have a good time, and yeah, so in that respect, you're right. With having these two albums out, it's that part of it is is complete, you know?
Yeah. So did you guys what happened with the band in the end back in the day? Was there like a breakup moment, or did things fizzled out for you, or what was the reason behind
I
that?
think, yeah, that was like, I want to say mid 90s. Really, the core of the band was myself and the two guitar players. And, you know, when those two guys approached me, that would be Nick and Vinny, and decided, you know, it was time to move on with, you know, whatever else they want to do career wise and personally.
Yeah.
I decided, all right, you know, that's going to be it for a while, because that was the core. Those were the three that were, you know, we came out from the East Coast together. And so, yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
it. It was a personal decision. Basically, it was nothing. There was no big drama, no big fight, breakup, or anything. It was just, you know, people making personal decisions. That's all. But we got back together and played several times after that, and would still do it. I mean, we played in LA. We played a couple shows in New York. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was just personal decisions. No big cataclysmic event or anything.
Did you had any other musical projects afterwards?
Oh, sure. I know Chris, the bass player, is still playing to this day. He does a lot of. He kept going in LA. Would play the scene out there. You know, doing, I think, mix of covers and originals. Vinny and myself, we got into doing music for TV and film. Started doing
Oh,
sound and went, yeah, and that's something I'm still involved with myself to this day. Jingles and soundtrack, all that good stuff. And as far as a rock band, I mean, I started up something here in Brooklyn several years back, and that got derailed by Hurricane Sandy. It's a pretty
oh
wild
no.
situation. I work in the music and film business these days, and we had some guys pull a band together and had shows booked, and the band was going. We got a video out of thing because we had, you know, cameramen around us all the time, and we were about to play all these shows, and then the hurricane hit, and the bass player had to quit, and yeah, the whole thing fell apart like nothing. It was crazy.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. But no, yeah, always still playing, and right now I'm doing a lot of country stuff.
All right.
Yep. But so, you know, the next thing is see if these guys want to do a show and back up this album, and that's
I
what
mean, that would be
that's what the
awesome.
question is right now.
What are the chances of Rob joining the interview? What do you think?
Yeah, what time we got here? Uh-oh, it's 9:50. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can hunt him down.
All right. Yeah.
I'll do that while I'm talking to you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think couple of shows. Maybe what did you guys record any music videos back in the day? Anything like that?
No, you know, that's a good question. We never did. No, it's one thing we never got into. I think about that too. You know, it's one thing that I wish we did for sure. And, you know, it was certainly a hot item back then, even to have a video under your belt. But no, we never got that done.
Yeah, you pretty much had to have like the album, the video, right, to make it in back in LA in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't. Yeah, you're right, because you never really saw any local bands with videos like you do today. Everyone's got a video, you know.
Right.
Uh,
Well, it
so
was much more expensive, right?
exactly, the production, you know, production level was and what was involved was almost night and day with what you can do today. You can have a good iPhone and make a professional video.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, so we got Rob here. Now, Rob was our bass player. He was like the middle guy. He wasn't the original, but he wasn't the last either.
Okay, just the middle child. Uh,
He was the middle child. Yeah.
okay, Eric, are you back?
Hey, man.
There he is.
Hey.
Right
All
on. Okay.
right.
Jesus. It's like
Yeah, the one.
be smarter than the technology, I think, is the
It shouldn't be
moral.
this hard. I mean, I don't know why, but
No,
yeah.
you just got to step back and take a look at it from afar and say, all right, here we go. Don't push too many buttons too all at once. You gotta wait.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just wait for it, man. Wait for it. How's it going, Rob?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, just chilling here with a beer. It's a beautiful night. Sun's just kind of going down.
Nice.
So we're good.
I'm doing the same with the first part. The sun is already down here, but
I bet.
yeah. Yep. Good to hear from everybody. So this is Santi. We've been just chatting about the good old days and the new
Right
days.
on. So have you guys talked about the Charlotte history, like prior to LA and stuff, or prior to me being involved, or?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's
Okay.
a good question, because now we're kind of right where you come in. I mean, he asked what got me into music, and then what got us out to LA, and here we are.
Yeah. So like, if I remember correctly, I think I hooked up with you guys, like, I originally came down from Canada to go to MI, which is a Musicians Institute that was on Hollywood Boulevard there,
Yeah.
where all the musicians used to go. And I did like a session there. And then
Uh-oh.
I think. Yeah, we can hear you, Rob.
We got him. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I think I hooked up with you guys in 1988, if I remember correctly.
88 is the year. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because we got EDB in 87, and then our good friend Joe Marks was there for a bit, and then Rob came along. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, we thought, yeah, Rob came on ready to go. That was one thing about Rob. The guy was ready to work. I remember thinking that about you, dude. I was like, this guy's ready to freaking work, and that's it.
Yeah, man. I had a pretty deadly rig with me, a couple basses. My hair game was pretty serious back then. I think I used to actually sit. I think I used to sit on my hair. Actually, I wish I had that back. Actually.
Well, I mean, you get the wisdom. Plus, you were bringing all those Canadian women around. That didn't suck.
Exactly right. That was a good thing.
So how did you guys meet? Where did you like apply to the band or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rob. How did that come?
I think you guys had an ad out in like BAM or one of those magazines that was in Hollywood. I'm pretty sure you guys had an ad out, and I just answered it.
That's it. We were doing the representation we had at the time, which would have been someone. We won't go into names, I guess, but they were helping us out, just word of mouth. And then I think, he's right. I guess we put an ad out in Music Connection, and maybe
something like that, like some magazine that you could pick up. Yeah, for sure. And I was living in the Hollywood Terrace Hotel, which used to be on Highland there, like right by the Hollywood Bowl.
That's
and it was a wicked place. Like every time I'd come home at night, there'd be like skunks hanging out on the staircase, and like sometimes you'd get sprayed and sometimes you wouldn't.
and then came the Woody, and that's
that's what we moved down there in. Me and my drummer buddy, we moved down there in a 1974 Mercury Montego Woody wagon.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I'm not even kidding you, Santi. This thing, when the Woody entered our life, things seemed to change. I'm not going to say for the worse, but sometimes for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, that car was awesome. I don't know where it ended up, but
we don't know, man. But it got us to rehearsal, man. It got us to rehearse. It made us better, And
it got us to God, what was the place? That Sagebrush Cantina.
Oh, Sagebrush Cantina, right?
Yeah, we used to go up there in the wagon every Sunday.
But hands down, the fondest or most, I should say, outstanding memory I have of the Woody is one fine night. If you don't forget this, Rob, I believe we were at the Cat Club.
Well, I was actually going to bring that up because I think that I've been kicked out of the Cat House. Are you talking? Yeah, they're talking about the Cat
House. I'm thinking New York City. Sorry, forgive me. Cat Club is here.
No, you and I got kicked out of the Cat House like probably 5 times that I can remember. Usually because we were drinking. We were drinking Night Train or Mad Dog.
Same night we got kicked out 5 times. It kept coming back.
Yeah, it's Tammy Down, and what was the other guy that used to do Headbangers Ball? Rocky. Oh yeah. They were not fans.
They were not having it. No. Hey, I don't blame them. I definitely don't blame them. They have a job to do. But I remember waking up in the Woody, and I had one sock, no shoes, and there was some blood. And yeah, that was a long night, man. That was but you're used to the scene. That's all.
Absolutely. The Wild West on Sunset Strip back then.
But we did have time to do music, honestly.
Yeah. So I hear there was like a rivalry between the bands that used to play the Sunset Strip and the bands that played on clubs more in the downtown area. The Cat House. Was that true, or is that like?
That's a good question, really. What do you think, Rob?
I honestly don't remember that. Downtown was pretty desolate in the late 80s, early 90s. Like downtown LA is all vibrant now and stuff, but it was a place you did not go back in the late 80s. Right. Outside the Greyhound bus station, there's like dumpster. People would be standing around with garbage cans on fire and stuff.
Right.
It was something out of
Escape. What you see now on the news.
Yeah, it was like something out of like you've seen that movie Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like that.
That's pretty close to. I just saw that here not long ago.
The biggest rivalry I remember from between the bands on Sunset Strip is everybody used to go around and with a bucket of wallpaper paste and a paintbrush and put up their flyers.
He's talking about the flyer. Here we go, man.
And then people would like put their flyers over top of your flyers, and that was like sacrilegious. Like you didn't do that, and that could start a war for sure.
All right, Santi, isn't this funny? Because you see, now you have Rob's view of the flyer wars. That was a question before you got on, Rob. So yeah, I guess the pasting over was a thing. But Rob, I don't remember us deliberately going out and like screwing with flyers. Do you? I don't.
No, we never did because right. we were the good guys. We wore the white hat.
No, we were the guys focused on the music and other things, just not.
Yeah, and I remember I think we used to have a ladder or something, and we used to put our flyers.
We'd go up high. We'd go way up high. That was it. Well, the best, you talk about going up high. Rob, were you in the band when my buddy John and I did this? We grabbed we painted this like, I don't know, maybe it was about 18 feet tall. It was a Charlotte banner, and we climbed the Marlboro Man billboard on Sunset Strip to the top, absolutely trespassing. And hung the thing front. We successfully hung it from the top of the sign. I think we tied it around the top of the ladder and just threw it over. And there it was, I think there was a picture of it and everything.
Oh, wow.
That was flyering. That was. But yeah, no, I think Rob's right. I agree. That's my memory. I don't think we didn't get into flyer fights with other bands. We would just say, all right, well, whatever. You got flyers. We'll see you on stage,
So Rob, we talked with Eric about his influences. So what bands or albums would you say influenced your playing?
Rob, we got you. Uh-oh.
he's just too stunned with the question, I think.
Okay, you hear me now?
There he is. Oh.
Yeah, when my screensaver goes on, it kind of cuts out the mic. So I'm keep trying to keep it relevant. But anyways, my big thing about playing bass is I like guys that like just hold down the bottom end, like nothing fancy, just like totally become one with the kick drum. And so I like some of my like like my favorite albums that I still listen to today, like probably my number one album of all time is Riot Fire Down Under, like good New York City band.
Nice.
Aerosmith rocks. I love that album. Just straight up rock and roll, like if you listen to like the old Priest albums and stuff like that, they just have straight like meat and potatoes, 2/4 kick drum and solid bass playing, right? So that was kind of my influences growing up, and I still listen to that stuff. I have a huge vinyl collection, so I throw that stuff on all the time.
Oh wow, I'm a huge collector as well.
Well, if we were doing this on Skype or something, or FaceTime like I thought we were going to be, I was going to show you the collection. I was actually going to set up my chair with all the vinyl behind me so I would look like the Godfather.
I had a chair, I had my acoustic guitar, I had I had it all going on, but then my schedule filled up. I'm not going to be able to get it all going.
Yeah. Well, so Rob, we talked with Eric about the new album. So what's your take on that? Are you psyched about it?
Yeah, you know what? I think like I've listened to that stuff. We were lucky enough to hook up with some good people back in the day, and the recordings were good, and the music was good, and we were all good players, and it was good songwriting and everything, and I think the stuff deserves to be heard, and I don't think it ever really got a real the shot that it deserved. We came close a couple of times, but I think that now, when there's a real lack of, I don't know, really good music coming out these days. Like, don't get me wrong, there is some cool stuff.
We hear you, brother. It's true though, man. It's not the same. It's not the same.
It's not the same. And I think Charlotte, as far as that era of the 80s Sunset Strip bands, I think we definitely had something to offer, and I think we sound different than a lot of other bands. Like, we had a little bit of a bluesy vibe, but we also, did a lot of stuff really well, I think. And our show was really good too. Like, we used to kick ass pretty good live, and when we were opening up for bands, like whatever, whether it be like Ferrari or Shark Island or whoever else we used to open up for at the, the Roxy and the Whiskey and Gazzari's and the Troubadour and stuff like that. We used to play. That's all the places we used to play, or FM station, right? Which is
FM. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love and we had some good headlining shows, and and even when we headlined, we weren't, in other words, so the competition in LA, you mentioned that before, Santi, I wanted to comment on that too. I think that's what fueled a lot of the bands and actually made it better. I mean, I grew up a jock. I'm not going to lie. I was playing baseball all my life. And when I got into LA, I thought, all right, now it's time for, the ninth inning heroics here. And it really, I think it fueled not only us, but every band. I mean, the competition, and you mentioned the downtown bands too. I wanted to comment on that. I think I know what you meant by that. Rob's right. Downtown LA was not really a scene, but yeah, there was that, like, what I think he's talking about, Rob, is like, East Hollywood down over, like on the other side of Borders, like, and all that.
Or maybe like Orange County bands is maybe what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of Orange County bands, remember, and they would all bust their people up to Hollywood and stuff. But we would go down and play Orange County too, right?
Totally.
I remember what was that place we used to play? The Marquee? Is that what it was called?
The Marquee.
Yeah.
I mean, we were kind of a weird band too. Like, we could kind of play any one of those scenes because we just did our own thing. But yeah, what I think Santi was referring to, I agree. There was if not a competition, there was definitely a divide almost, not in a bad way. It was just like you either did those clubs or these clubs. But I do think that the competition was strong within those environments. So in other words, if you were playing, you know, the Roxy, the Whiskey, then you had to be the best one playing those clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right.
And I think that was a good thing. I really do, because it made every band it brought out all the potential, and we loved it. I never minded that. I mean, I think I said this in one of the interviews before that, you know, it's not like we were out there to, you know, be chummy with everybody and make all these good friends. I was looking forward to the competition and the blood, sweat, and tears. I really was. I don't know about, I think those guys, you, Rob, and everyone else was too, because we relished in it. I loved it, man. I didn't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah, and you definitely stood out with your music, with the sound you guys were playing. Definitely stood out from the crowd. I mean,
yeah,
I mentioned that to you, Eric, before, but you guys always remind me more of bands like, I don't know, Spread Eagle, Skid Row, Kick Tracy, Kingdom Come.
Yeah,
that style. Yeah. More heavier, but yet melodic, right?
Yeah, those are all great bands, all bands, and I got both the first two Kingdom Come albums I got on vinyl, and those are I listen to those all the time.
Right on.
Yeah,
great albums. Yeah.
No, but it's true. We we went out there with spandex and hairspray, but we kind of left that at the door after about a year or so. I mean, for real, like that was the scene. We came from that, but
hold on, I just want to clarify one thing. I never wore spandex. I wore I wore lip service jeans or
dude, ever?
Really.
Even in Canada before we met you, bullshit, man. Come on. Nothing? No spandex ever?
He dropped off.
Either he got really offended by the spandex or comment, or his screen went off again. No, my point was though, you know, like, yeah, that word glam and hairband comes up. I mean, I think we were that for a hot minute, you know.
Yeah, I don't consider us glam. I consider us just a Hollywood like an '80s Hollywood rock band, you know, like just straight up rock and roll. That's what it was, you know.
For sure. And I think by the time Rob joined, that's really where we were headed, and we were already in that groove. Because, like I said, you know, we moved out there. It was, you know, brought the upstate New York spandex with us, but that really went over no, Rob, I don't believe you didn't wear spandex up in Canada before I met you. Fuck.
I might have put on my girlfriend's at one point in time just to see what it looked like, but my dick's way too big to wear spandex.
Oh, no, you can't say that. That's the good time to wear spandex, man.
Right? Oh man, that's funny.
So I mean, I think we just really started focusing on the music and forgetting about all that flashy image stuff, and that's when things started coming together. You know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we you know, I think we looked good. We dressed well. We didn't overdress. We weren't wearing like, you know, 5 pounds of hairspray and eyeliner and mascara and all that stuff. Well, actually, no, I might have.
Mascara's all right, man.
I might have had a bit of eyeliner on. I'm not gonna lie.
Eyeliner's all right. Eyeliner's,
you know, yeah.
If I think Keith Richards can do it. We can all do it, man.
I think we, like, if you go back and look at some of those posters that, like, I have them downstairs, like I've kept everything. You look at that, like, we look like, you know, a relevant band from right now. Like, it could be in the way Aerosmith dressed in the 70s, or it could be the way, like, you know, like Airborne or something dresses right now, right? Like, we dress the same. We dress rock and roll.
Yep. You know? And Rob's making a good point. And I think that's kind of where, be it a conscious effort on our parts or just natural development, I think we wanted that, you know, just like, let's just concentrate on the music, express ourselves the way we want to dress. It'll come together. We basically have trust in that, you know, and not.
Oh yeah, there was bands that were doing the real glam thing, and that was their thing.
That wasn't us.
And that wasn't us, but that was their thing, right?
And then yeah, it's all good.
What was that band that we used to play with where all 4 guys had like purple hair and
the Zeros, man?
The Zeros, yeah. We played with the Zeros like 3 times, I think.
A bunch of times we would have shows with them, because whatever the promoter, I remember. who was it that was promoting those shows, said to me, when I put YouTube bands together, for some reason, it goes really well. Like they have a good night. I don't know what it was, because they were a punk band with purple hair, and we were
Santi, you know who the Zeros are, right?
Oh yeah, I love the Zeros. Yeah,
great.
We did a bunch of shows with those guys. Like I think we played with them more than any other band. Like it's a bit of a weird mix, but it really worked.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, no, it was a weird mix, but it's true. The Charlotte and the Zeros. Yeah, that was at the Roxy. It was always at the Roxy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a strange mix for sure, but sure. I mean, if it worked.
And then we used to do the No Bozo Jam Monday nights at the Whiskey A Go Go all the time too, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And the house band there was
who was it?
It was the bass player Skid Row. The house band was the guys that used to do it every Monday. It was the bass player Skid Row. Why do you think they call it Dope? What's that band?
So are you thinking about our pal Sam Mann? Not Sam Mann and the Eight.
Love Hate.
Oh, Love Hate. Right.
Yeah, Love Hate. So I remember being at the Cat House one night when Love Hate signed their deal with CBS and Tom Werman or whoever they signed it with, and I think they got like a $900,000 signing bonus because that's what you got back then.
That's a lot of Jack Daniels.
And they were like buying shots and drinks for everybody that could possibly, and that's where that same night I ran into my buddies from Canada, the Killer Dwarfs, Daryl Dwarf.
Right on.
And he crawled into the back of Patty's Pathfinder and puked all over the back seat. And I said, "This is my buddy from Canada." Daryl's gonna kill me if this comes out, but because we're still friends to this day. Like my band up here just did a show with Killer Dwarfs a couple years ago, and they're still killing it. They do the Monsters of Rock cruise every year and stuff. So,
oh wow,
just funny story.
Right on, man. Yeah, there was a lot of it. Go ahead, Santi.
No, I was just gonna ask. So, would you be up to do any Charlotte reunion shows now that that's a thing that a lot of bands are doing bands from back in the day are doing?
Coming from me, I mean, I'm always ready to go. And the last time we had an album out, we did a few shows. So my answer is yes. I'd be willing to talk to all these guys. It's
Eric?
Yeah, we lost Eric there.
Maybe your screensaver went off now.
No, I'm still here. So
no, my screensaver. You're right, the screensaver. That's a thing.
The screensaver comes on, and then
it's what this is rock and roll versus high tech. We're gonna win, man. We're gonna win.
We are gonna win.
What I was saying was absolutely I would do another show, and we've done them. You know, we did it with the last album release, and most of us still play. Some of us still play together professionally, like I said, doing soundtrack and whatnot if it's not live performance. So, of course, yeah. And I would start at the Whiskey, and it's funny because I was just speaking to people who are. Well, they work with the Whiskey, let's just say, contacted me not just 2 weeks ago and said, you guys should play here. So things are always a possibility is the way I see it.
Yeah, I'd be down for sure. So
awesome, man.
I'd probably get a good 4 songs out of me before I'd be done. No, I'm just kidding. I'm in top shape, ready to rock.
Well, I mean, the Zeros made a reunion show a couple of weeks ago, right?
Oh, really?
So yeah, so all original members. So maybe that's a Charlotte and the Zeros back again.
That'd be pretty cool, actually.
I could email the lead singer. I think he's on our friends list. Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
All right. Okay, guys. So before we wrap up, we're almost at we're past the hour mark. So we should be wrapping up. But before we end this, I wanna do a little top 3 favorite albums from you guys.
Good question. Rob, you want me to go first?
Sure. I kind of blurted mine out earlier, but yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I would have to say, because I thought about this question, and it's not an easy question. It sounds like it's easy, but it's not. It's tricky.
No. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, these would be like, these are like not your most influential albums. Like, what are your top 3 albums that I take this as that you listened to back in the day that you still listen to, that if you were on a desert island and you could pick 3 albums, these are the 3. Is that what you want, Santi?
I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree that that is part of the prerequisite I followed, but also the influence. So I kind of combine the two.
Yeah.
Right. This is what I came up with. I got a sub too. I got a number 4. I'm going to kill you with that. I know. I'm sorry, man. All right. The first one that came to mind is The Doors, the first album, period. Second
All
one.
right. Yeah.
Yep. That's a good album.
Physical Graffiti. Holy shit.
Some Zeppelin. Yeah. That's
right.
good.
Yeah.
And then 3 and 4, 3/4, Appetite for Destruction by GNR, and Beggar's Banquet by the one and only Rolling Stones. Those are my 3/4 right there.
Well, I knew you were going to do some Stones for sure.
Absolutely, man.
And my stuff's definitely, I guess, not more obscure, but they've probably never had these 3. Like I would have to go Thin Lizzy, Bad Reputation, because Phil Lynott was like just a huge influence on me. Like when I went to MI, they asked for your influences, and that's my first one.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, Riot is one of my favorite bands, and Fire Down Under is like just a completely underrated album that was just every song on there just rocks.
Great band.
And then speaking of rocks, like Aerosmith, I'm not a huge Aerosmith fan, especially of the later stuff that they did, like Dude Looks Like a Lady and shit. I don't care for that stuff. But
post-drugs, you mean post-drugs.
But exactly. But before Done with Mirrors, when they were still using mirrors, Aerosmith rocks. That album, all 10 songs. That album influenced a lot of people and probably influenced Guns N' Roses and Faster Pussycat, all those bands. That album influenced them. So those are my top 3.
Awesome, dude, and good call. I always thought Aerosmith influenced that quote unquote new wave of late 80s stuff with the Guns and Faster Pussycat.
Oh yeah, they did for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, almost every band changed their sound by the late 80s, right? Once the Appetite for Destruction album came out.
And it's worthy to note, this is a good thing to talk about, because that simultaneously benefited us and kind of validated us, is a good way to put it, because we wanted to go that way. I can't count how many times Nick, guitar player, and I would sit and say, man, we got to draw from our 70s influences. My favorite decade of rock is the 70s. And I know Nick was the same way.
Late 70s, like 77, 78.
Absolutely. All that stuff. Sweet.
You go up to around 81.
Aerosmith, Nazareth, Led Zeppelin, early 70s, Doors, early. So when that movement, if you want to call it such, it also, Axl Rose, people don't realize, I think, kind of set the stage for grunge, because he made it acceptable to sing at a different here goes the screensaver. to sing at using your mid-range more than such a high screaming voice. So all that kind of came together, and I think we benefited from that, because we were really into that sound and kind of going that way anyways. Like I said, very fast, getting rid of the spandex and the and then Guns N' Roses lived in the same apartment building as we did on Sycamore for a while. So we'd see those guys and be like, yeah, look at the way those guys look. That's the ticket right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. So guys, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. But where can we find your music? I know it's on Spotify, but will it also be available on CD, on a physical format, maybe vinyl?
Eonianrecords.com is going to have both digital and hard copy CD sales available. And then on Spotify, Charlotte has an artist account, and you'll be able to find all of our music there as well. I think we'll eventually put Medusa Groove and the whole catalog up there. So those are two good starts. But Apple Music, pretty much any major platform.
I think just going to throw this out there, but I think we need to do like a limited edition vinyl run. So
I would love that, Rob.
We send one to Santi. We send one to Santi. I'm going to need one. So put me
down.
I'd buy that in a second.
Okay, awesome. There we go.
I would actually pay for it. If they did it, I would pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's plant that seed right now.
That's a good seed to plant. Santi, we're going to get you a CD. Do you have a CD player? Not many people do these days. I don't know.
I actually I do. I not only I collect vinyl, I also collect CDs. So
all right, we're going to get you a CD at least, and when we make vinyl, we'll get you that. But let's stay in touch, and we'll get you the CD. But yeah, everyone who's listening, this album is going to be available digitally and as a CD. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you all posted.
Right. Awesome, man. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for being on the show. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks, Ed. Sorry.
Yeah, let's rock SA, man. South America. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. If you guys got beers are on me. Yep, beers are on me.
I'm ready. We're all ready.
All right,
Santi,
take care, guys.
You guys. Night, gentlemen.
Night.
Good night. Alright folks, sadly that's all the time we have for today, but what an episode, right? Don't forget to hit the follow button on Spotify and share it with your friends. You can also follow us on Instagram at hollywood.dreams.podcast. And rock on!